What's going on, everybody? I'm Arda Ocal, joined by Emily Rand in Los Angeles. We got some coaching news to report in Overwatch League. David Pei is apparently leaving LA Gladiators. Here is a twit-longer statement from David Pei, directly from his Twitter account at DPEI_OW. I'll read it in full. I've learned a lot over the past 2 years as the head coach of GLA on how to run a team. There have been a lot of growing pains through the past 2 years, and there will continue to be growing pains for every person in OWL. But one thing everyone should know about me is that I have and always will put my best foot forward and try to make improvements and to do whatever it takes to help the team. I'm really looking forward to next year where the league will be in full force with the homestands and travel. Contact me. He leaves his email address for any business inquiries. Note, Gladiators have allowed me to look for other opportunities. So, comes as a little bit of a shock. He's very respected as a head coach around the league. Emily, what do you make of this news?
I think it's pretty surprising the Gladiators are allowing him to look for opportunities. And again, I don't know the situation between both. It seems like a very amicable relationship. So I don't think we should suspect anything like bad out of it. Maybe he just wants a new opportunity. However, he's actually, in my opinion, the best U.S. coach that we have. And I think he has proven himself on the Gladiators several times over. He hasn't been able to lead them to a championship, but I think he's done so much with this organization over the past 2 years, especially with having a hybrid lineup. I think coaching a hybrid lineup can be very difficult, and he's had fairly strong results in both years. I actually value him a bit more highly than maybe other coaches who have been picked for similarly high-profile positions or like Team USA. He would have been my vote for the Team USA coach for this year. So I mean, it's a bit surprising to me that the Gladiators would let him go. But maybe it's a new opportunity thing. I just think that he has proven through his time on the Gladiators in the past 2 years that he is a very good coach, and seeing him with his players, they have a very obvious, nice, pleasant rapport with each other that seems very genuine.
It sounds just like trying to dissect the twit longer here. For him to say the Gladiators have allowed me to look for other opportunities, and also saying I pride myself in putting my best foot forward to try and make improvements, I'm just reading between the lines here, and this is just an opinion. It sounds like he went to the Gladiators and said, I would like to look and see what else is out there. Maybe a change of scenery would be best for me here, and it seemed very amicable. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think it's amicable. I mean, again, I think he and the org have worked well together for 2 years. There's never been any sort of things that I've heard that have been bad. I don't think this will be this isn't going to be if he does end up leaving, this isn't going to be fraught with, any sort of drama. I think it's just, again, it's surprising to me because in my opinion, he is a very talented coach. So I think a lot of teams should be looking at him, especially if you have a hybrid lineup and you have a coach that already has experience, bringing all different kinds of talent from all sorts of different countries together on one roster and having them be successful. Again, I think the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that geo-relocation brings a lot of opportunities with it, right? So this might not be the first announcement that you see of coaches or staff members looking for different organizations just to branch out, maybe move for a bit, see what a different city is like. So I think that also could be part of it as well. But as for reading between the lines, yeah, I think it's definitely amicable. There doesn't seem to be anything negative about this at all.
How many texts and DMs do you think he's already gotten from other teams?
I hope a lot. Get on this. He seems like such a good coach.
What do you think the offseason is going to look like? I think you make a very good point there, Emily. I think that we're going to see a lot more announcements like this, both players and coaching staff and leadership. I really think this is going to be a very, very news-dense offseason for Overwatch League.
Oh, for sure, because I think first of all, you're going to have players that aren't going to want to live in certain cities, or they want to return to their home country. For example, you might see a lot of European players trying to angle to get on to Paris or or London, if London decides that maybe they don't want to keep the roster that they have, which they have stuck with, and it's been a successful roster. So this isn't like, I haven't heard anything. This isn't, don't cite me as like a rumor monger, but I'm just saying, like, if I'm a European player and I want to go home, I'm looking at, like, I want to be on one of those two franchises. If I'm a South Korean player and I want to go back to Seoul and like live in Seoul, I'm like showing up at the Dynasty and being like, hey, like, please come pick me up. I actually think the Dynasty are going to have their pick of who wants to play for them going into this offseason, just because so many players are just going to want to have that, like, more time at home, given that they'll have homestands in Seoul. So it is going to be a really interesting offseason. I also think that we're going to see a lot of teams that rosters start to break apart, and then teams looking for not like stronger staff members, but maybe beefing up their staff, because there's a lot more involved in not only running homestands, but making sure that travel is seamless. It's a lot of organization. And so I think some of these franchises are going to be in trouble if they don't beef up their staff, right? Like, whether that's coaching staff or management, you want to have that in place, ready to go, and be strong for things like, airline travel, hotel situations, practice setups, scheduling scrims is going to become more difficult. Just player welfare, like making sure that they're not getting fatigued. Like, traveling is just exhausting in general. So yeah, I think that is something that also should happen in this offseason, is that we're going to see, hopefully, a lot of franchises looking at their staffs and being like, hey, our staff is really good, but we need to add some more people to deal with these specific issues. Visa issues is another thing that we're going to have to be looking at.
So those are some predictions from us. How about some predictions from you? Let us know in the comments below. Give us some too early thoughts on which players, what leadership will go where in the Overwatch League offseason. And of course, continued coverage available at ESPN.com/esports.